welcome to the July 12th council meeting. Could have been yesterday, but it was today instead. So, council, we need a motion to adopt various minutes here. Do we need a motion for each one of them, or for all three? All three, I guess, eh? A motion to adopt both the committee of the whole minutes from the 27th, special council meeting of the 27th, and the annual meeting minutes. Councillor Barkle, thank you. Councillor Boot, all in favor? Thank you very much. Passed. Public hearing report 2.2.
You're just adopting it.
Oh,
Just approve it.
Okay. Okay, could I have a councillor bring that forward, please? Councillor Peak, thank you.
Recommendation of the June 27, 2016 public hearing report regarding parks in Lower Town and Thornbury Street, excuse me, be approved.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson, thank you very much. All in favor? None opposed? It's carried. Thank you very much. Adoption of our agenda 3.1. Corporate officer, do we have some changes to our agenda?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, there are 3 items actually to strike from tonight's agenda. The first one is item 5.1, the delegation from Dave Simpson. Item 12.2, the temporary road closure request for the Halloween parade has been withdrawn. And item 14.4, the loan authorization bylaw, we have not received ministry approval at this time, so that will come back at a later meeting. And I also have some additional information that was circulated to you on your desks regarding item 9.1, horse riding in Okanagan Lake.
Okay. Thank you very much. Could we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended, please? Councillor Holmes, thank you. Councillor Carlson, all in favor? Thank you. Carried. Okay, moving ahead to our 6.0, public commentary opportunity. As everybody knows by now, this is an opportunity for the public to come forward and speak on any highlighted item in our agenda. Pardon me? Yeah. Name, please.
My name is Murray Cernick. I live at 15819 Lakeshore Drive. Council and Your Honor, in January 2000, I'm speaking with regards to the item 9.1, the horses in the lake. In January 2016, Council requested staff to go back, prepare a comprehensive report on this issue. Based on this second report that's attached today, no further in-depth due diligence was performed other than soliciting comments from the community. Based on staff's report to Council, I bring up a few questions as well as some comments. First of all, what about bylaw 95-013 and 93-028 that specifically prohibit the access of horses through the public beaches? If Council approves staff reports, are you changing the bylaws? Not by law, by laws. How does Council envision controlling times and out-of-area horse associations assessing the lake? During the open house in June, several horse people mentioned they would use it more if it was available, and that other communities' horse associations are keenly interested in the outcome. Jeremy Deniger, the author of the recommendation, has always stated that enforcement is the issue. Who has more rights, people or horses? Common belief is that people rank before horses. This beach is being used all the time during the summer by local people. According to 3 different publications, 2 from the Ministry of Agriculture and their orders that they issued, one in May 2014, one in December 2015, and they all relate to large animals, including horses, in that they, one order, the access to water courses, which is defined as lakes as well, is only allowed for drinking of fresh water by the horses, and only if the horses are 100% graze fed. The concern with the Ministry of Agriculture is to the impairment to the environment and health risk. The second order in December 2015 states that it's the horse owner's responsibility to ensure the quality of the water is not impaired or degraded in any way, and the landowner must preserve the integrity of the water course through environmental responsible management. Again, the concern is environmental damage and the severe impact that the horses have on the ability of the water resource to provide productive fish habitat and riparian areas. The Horse Council of BC, together with the BC Ministry of Agriculture and Lands, published another document that states horses must not be allowed access to water courses in order to prevent pollution. In addition, manure must be prevented from contaminating natural water courses that are used in the water supply. Fisheries Act states that no person shall deposit or permit deleterious substances of any type in water frequented by fish. I believe that the District of Summerland has had experience with this act in 2003 when it shut down the flow from Thirst Dam. Lastly, District of Summerland's bylaw 93028, which is the Animal and Pound Regulation bylaw, Clause 3A states that it's an infraction to allow large animals to trespass on any park or public place within the district. And C states that it shall be lawful for the pound keeper to seize and impound the animal trespassing on such, and provides penalties of up to $2,000. What's of particular interest is in that same bylaw 1G does not allow animal shelter for large animals, which includes horses, within 30 meters of a well or stream. So this bylaw back in 1993 already contemplates pollution of water. In summary, the District of Summerland has numerous clauses in various bylaws prohibiting the large animals' access to public places, including beaches. The Ministry of Agriculture and the Horse Council of BC have published numerous orders and notices strongly against horses being allowed in natural water courses due to the environmental health concerns to the general public. I am still stunned that the District of Summerland is even considering a compromise versus enforcing its own bylaws without doing a thorough due diligence on this issue. The concerns and orders issued by our provincial government and even the Horse Council of BC prohibit horses accessing the water courses. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
My name is Marilyn Hanson, and I intend to speak on the horse issue as well. I want to point out that I am not anti-horse. I owned one for 6 years in the east, where it was a lot more humid and as hot as here, and I hosed down my horse in summer. I was not very happy with the public open house meeting because we were told from the start by the team leader that we had to compromise and bylaws could be changed. Horses are not allowed access to the water on any Okanagan Lake beach for health reasons. Each municipality has a bylaw against this. We do. Do we want to become known as the one spot where horse owners can bring their animals for swimming on hot days? Now, in reality, none of the horse owners pasture their horses near the alleged or proposed swimming beach. They all have to trailer their animals there. Some people feel that having horses on the beach is no different than having dogs on the beach. I think it is. Dogs can be housebroken and do not generally defecate in the water. They like to do it on land, and I don't really want to get involved in bowel habits of both animals, but horses pee and poop wherever and whenever they please. They do it in the water, and their load is much larger than what a dog does, about 7 times larger. So you do the math. If you have 4 horses on the beach, dropping their loads, dropping it in the water, about like 28 dogs there. It was suggested that riders could get into the water with a plastic bag and pick up the horse apples. Some might not be aware that horse droppings are not always so neat. Sometimes horses have diarrhea, depending on what they have eaten. Also, horse poop can carry pathogens: E. coli, Cryptosporidium, Giardia, Clostridium, which they can pick up from certain pastures, Salmonella, which can cause them diarrhea, or they can be asymptomatic and carry Salmonella without having diarrhea. There are other pathogens that their feces can carry. It's unrealistic to think that equestrians can bag all the horse poop. It's just unrealistic. This year, the proposed horse beach was full of children and adults when it was hot. Last year, there were horse poops floating in the water there and landing on homeowners' beaches. This doesn't seem fair, as beach property taxes are very high, and it is a health issue. Would we really be talking about this if we were talking about cattle? I want my pet cow to go into the lake. Would we really be discussing this? We have a reputation for clean beaches. Do we want to spoil this reputation for the fun of a few equestrians? That's my question.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Bob Dickinson. I live at 16007 North Lakeshore Drive, and I'm going to speak kind of to the negative side of this argument. I guess the first thing I want to say is, and I don't really want to be confrontational, but I think this has been handled, you know, it's been a year that I've been dealing with this, and I think it's been handled relatively poorly, but I'll leave it at that. I guess I have just a couple of questions, and then I'll sit down. I wanted to ask Erin Trainer a question because I think she might have some unique perspective on this point. In terms of...
Excuse me, Bob.
Yes?
This is an opportunity to have you give a presentation.
Oh, okay, I'll do
not
that.
to question council at
Oh,
this
I'm
time.
sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so in terms of whether we're dealing with an issue of a problem, I'm looking at water quality protection from the council and Bay Area resources with the USDA, the Department of Agriculture, and they say although horse waste, manure, urine are organic, many of their biological and chemical properties can be detrimental to fish and aquatic life if those wastes get into water bodies. In terms of some information that I received just today, I'm quite kind of pleased with one report that I received from, and it was a letter from Robert Hacking and a subsequent report, a paper prepared by Ada Quinn. Now, to give some perspective on who Ada Quinn is, she has absolutely no scientific background. She is a business manager with the Environmental Division and Power and Research Institute in Palo Alto, California. So she has no scientific standing. And her report, which is quite interesting, I pretty much agree with. And the part that I agree with the most is the part where she says, while horse manure may not be aesthetically pleasing, it should not be harmful to human health, nor pose a health risk to people when it is encountered on public trails. That's the paper that Mr. Hacking referred to in his letter. So we're talking about public trails, and I walk on lots of public trails, and I walk around it. I don't walk through it. But when I'm in the water and I see it, I try to go around it, and sometimes I can, and sometimes I can't. It's dissolved. Its components are in the water. Although Ada Quinn does write in another publication, Wildlife and Environmental Issues, the endpoints of scientific inquiry for water quality studies are human exposure to pathogens for health implications and nutrient sedimentation pollution for environmental implications. Excrement or wastes of any type should never be deposited or disposed of in water bodies. So when I see horse manure floating in the water on several occasions in my property, and I get information from experts like Ada Quinn, who's the business manager in Palo Alto, California, I guess I have to take it seriously. So it's a problem. There is an issue associated with it. I also have to comment about the fact that they don't carry Giardia and Cryptosporidium. And in veterinary parasitology in 1997, it showed that all horses sampled in 4 sites, 4 out of 4 were positive for Giardia, with 20% of animals infected. And Cryptosporidium was identified in 3 out of 4 sampling sites with a prevalence of 17%. So that's veterinary pathology, or parasitology. And I also have to follow that up with the fact that while we are going to solve the problem by testing the water once a week, which I don't really think is very effective, but that's the ministry's answer. They also said that they were going to use that testing, and I quote, "They test only for E. coli as it's an indicator organism. The other organisms or pathogens of possible concern will be present in correlation to the levels of E. coli. So testing of each of them is unnecessary." Well, according to the journal of the American Waterworks Association, it's a peer-reviewed journal. The data represented an analysis is completed by 2 U.S. Environmental Protection Agencies approved protozoan labs and local science-certified labs for E. coli. The results of the statistical analysis indicated poor correlation between Cryptosporidia and E. coli. So in fact, we won't know if there's E. coli in that water, or leptospirosis, or Clostridium, or Salmonella, because there's no correlation between those 2 things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak? Robert?
I'll keep this quick. So thank you, Council, for having the opportunity to bring some comment to this. So I'll just address a couple points that was brought up there. Well, my name is Robert
We know
Hacking,
who you are.
7720 Prairie Valley Road. Sorry, habits. So he mentions the study that was done by the manager. The business manager was the organizer of the study, but in the study he references 8 different people who hold PhDs, MDs. She was the person who assembled the study. As your staff member may assemble a study and consult with experts, it's the same context there. She was the one who managed the study, brought it together. She doesn't need to be an expert in every single part of the study. She references the scientists who are experts in that study. The next point is, I agree, is like if you want to quantify if there actually is a risk, which I think is really suspect right now, then yeah, you do need to take a look and find some people who can give some expert opinion. I know Interior Health has said, what's the big deal here? Ministry of Forest has said, what's the big deal here? And the anecdotal, for what it's worth, evidence from people who own horses, who handle their excrement extremely frequently, they're not getting sick all the time. This is not cows, this is not pigs, this is not dogs or cats or ducks or beavers or whatever other animal that can poop and have demonstrably ill effects on the environment. These are horses, and they're fairly well studied. So I think the presentation or the study that I submitted to council is valid, and I'd hate to see just a bunch of misinformation go to invalidate actual studies. If you guys want more information, please go get more information. But as it stands right now, horses have accessed water for a long time, and their horse owners access their horses frequently, and there's not very much ill effects. The other aspect is over the many years, access to the lake period has been an issue. There's very few dog beaches that access the lake. A lot of them are heavily restricted or reduced in restriction. They want to reduce a dog park in Kelowna, not a lake. They want to shrink a dog park in Kelowna by 10 times. And there's groups and parts of this community who own dogs, own horses, have children. There's different parcels in this community that have needs to access the outdoor and wish to access the outdoors with their closest companions. And I think their needs just seem to kind of get lost in the fray over some suspect accounts over how dangerous them actually being there is, which I think is not determined at all with any certainty at all, and definitely not to a point where I would develop policy over it. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Simone Kutos, 13514 Prairie Valley, Summerland. I think the horse owners are really trying to compromise. I'm supportive of horses in the lake. This beach is in a red zone. It's in the shade. It is not really populated by very many people. There are many other beaches that people tend to want to go. This one is out of the way, so it's not really used by many people. That's why it's ideal for dog owners and horse owners. There's a misconception that horses are going into the lake and just pooping en masse. Horses don't usually poop in the water, so even if you have 5 horses, you won't have 5 floaters. If it does happen, we are more than willing to have nets, bag it, put it in plastic bags, and remove it from the lake. It's not a problem for us. And there's a huge difference between manure and feces. You grow your crops in manure. It's not that dangerous. And then everyone's throwing out the concern with the mussels, the Rocky Mountain Ridge mussels. Horses are buoyant in water. They're not sinking down that much. Plus, there's not much known about the mussels, and I think the mussels are more impacted by the homeowners coming in and dredging the shoreline, ripping out all the native plants, using pesticides on the lawn. A few horses swimming in the lake is not going to make a big difference. And I guess the last thing is I think there's more concern also with the 30 Canadian geese and ducks that are always on the beaches. We're willing to go in, clean up the poop, swim with horses for a few days of the year, and then leave. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak? Okay, thank you very much. So we'll move on to 7.1, my report. At the time of the last council meeting, the potential of keeping Trout Creek Elementary open had not been officially resolved. As I stated 2 weeks ago, the opening or closing of a school is critical. Schools are essential to the municipality's community fabric and of tremendous importance to families and children. I and council would like to thank the families and parents that worked so hard over a long period of time for their incredible effort. In addition, I'd like to thank MLA Dan Ashton for his tireless efforts behind the scenes to encourage a positive government response. Also, special thanks to Premier Clark for her funding announcement and her government's recognition of the importance of schools to the community's economy. And lastly, I'd like to actually thank the school board for their reconsideration and final decision to apply for the funding to keep Trout Creek Elementary open for Summerland families. Along the same lines, schools and students, I had the good fortune to attend the 2016 Summerland Senior Secondary graduation ceremonies. I had the distinct pleasure to award the district scholarship to Sylvia Mott, and I'd like to congratulate all the grads for their hard work and wish them well with their endeavors in the future. Another event that I attended was Canada Day. I'd like to thank John Dorn and the Legion for making this event special for the community. And this past Saturday, I attended and brought greetings from the district to the Yacht Club's annual Commodores Ball. This is a special event. Commodores from up and down the valley attend this, and actually it was a great event. The food was excellent. They also had music. And apparently the Yacht Club now has a new chef, and they're available Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the food was actually very, very excellent. So thank you. My report.
Thank you. I have a number of items to bring up to council. First of all, and I'd hoped to get a press release written, but I will do it for tomorrow. But we've hired our community development coordinator. We've hired Kaylee Hall. She's a resident here in Summerland. She was the chief curator at the Art Gallery of Calgary for 4 years before she became the general manager in 2014. She's a freelance writer, does some work on arts and culture initiatives, and she'll be starting with us on August the 15th, 2015. She'll be our liaison to community groups, arts and culture, and otherwise, many of the nonprofit organizations that work within our community. It's been a particularly busy time for Public Works and Utilities staff. Council's aware of some of the issues that we've been facing. And over the weekend, we had a number of them. We had one item come up today that Council's not aware of yet, and that is that a large, very large sinkhole was discovered on McDonald Place. It's in the right-of-way down the hill from McDonald Place. Staff has barricaded and assessed the situation and are working on the plan for filling. It has to do with a failed dry well in the area. So the more information to come on that. As Council's aware, we had some issues with water over the weekend due to the heavy precipitation and the low demand on the water from the water users. It caused the Summerland Reservoir to require a reduction in the level. We had to open, the number of items were done to mitigate this, but one of them that was noticeable to the public was that we had to open 5 hydrants in 5 different locations, and because of the timing and the lack of availability for some of us, we didn't get it up on our Facebook and website as quickly as we need to, and therefore there was a few people wondering why we were draining water when we try so hard to conserve water. So that was an issue that needed to happen, was to reduce those. We've had at least two water service breaks over the last couple of days, one on Bentley Road and one on Peach Orchard Road, which they're working on dealing with. So as you can see, it's been a very busy time. Also, I just want to recognize the work of our public works staff. The Grand Fondo was held this weekend, of course, which went through Summerland with 2,400 or 2,500 bikers, but I don't think a lot of people realize how much effort it takes to put the event on in making sure that the roads are in a shape that's not dangerous for the riders. So the cleaning up they did and a little bit of patching they did made it really much better. So that's my report for today.
Thank you. And our CAO was one of those riders.
I was.
Did very well.
Thank you.
18th in her category out of how many?
130.
130? That's pretty
excellent.
good. She went by me so fast I didn't see her. Okay, we're moving on to 9.1. Who's taking this?
Yeah.
CO? Okay, yep, horse riding in Okanagan.
Okay, Council had the opportunity to discuss this issue somewhat at the Committee of the Whole meeting this morning, and certainly heard from Alison Pete, our environmental planner, as well. I just wanted to address one of the comments I heard in the opening statements, or a couple of comments regarding staff's role in putting this item together. It's a difficult issue, as are any issues where there's sides that both have very valid points, and it's our role as staff, and certainly was Jeremy's role in working on it, to take a neutral position and to try to find a solution that may or may not be satisfactory. So although there was criticizing of his process, I think that that what we've all been encouraging each other to do is get as much information. We can only rely on the expert information that we can find, and which is why we've reached out to the agencies that we rely on, which is IHA and FLINRO and others, such as what's been presented. So I just wanted to comment that I did feel that we managed to bring as much information, and to ensure that Council had all the information that we did receive from the various parties. Really, there's 3 items. There's the health risk, the environmental risk, and the nuisance aspect. At this point in time, from staff, as clear is in Jeremy's report, the information that we have found does not satisfy the health risk and the environmental risk. It doesn't support those. We're certainly not suggesting that there isn't one. The information we have suggests there isn't, and that's why we've pursued IHA to say that should council determine that they're going to allow it to continue at this time or put some timeframes around it, that we would absolutely follow up with testing and try to see if we actually have some empirical data to support those concerns. So on environmental and the health, that's what we feel. And the nuisance issue is a different issue. That's an issue for discussion. It's certainly felt to be a nuisance by some, even in the immediate neighborhood. There's neighbors that are 100% supportive of having the horses, and there's neighbors that are very strongly against having the horses swim. So it's just a very difficult
Any
issue.
comment on the bylaw issue?
The bylaw issue, I mean, at this, council directed staff last year when this first came up not to enforce the bylaw, as it historically had not been enforced, and therefore that's the current situation. We could make amendments if depending on what council determines if it's going to be a long-term solution.
Okay, thank you. Okay, council, any questions of our CAO at all regarding Councillor Peak?
Yes, in relation to some of the comments that were made by Murray Cernick to the bylaws that we have presently in place, I don't recall them being addressed within the report.
We know that it's in contravention of our bylaws, that there's bylaws that don't allow, and one of them is mentioned in Jeremy's report. It was, in the Summerlands Park Regulation Bylaw 95013, that one, and I don't recall which one Ms. Cernick was referring to, but we know that we're in contravention of the bylaw, and that direction was given. They never have been enforced, and they would need to be modified if we were going to ongoing allow them.
Thank you.
Councillor Holmes?
I think we have quite a few bylaws that aren't ever enforced in this place.
Absolutely.
I feel a bit like a juror in a jury where both sides roll out their expert witnesses, and one side has, in the environmental and health matters, every side has their experts that say one thing or another, and it's a bit mind-boggling. So as the CIO, I think all we can do is go by the people we rely on for this kind of information, that being Interior Health and FLNRO. We received this late email from Laura Nails from FLNRO, saying that she could make recommendations on further how to explore areas of the science where we don't have high confidence, and might be able to put a plan together how to move forward once we have that. That's it might be worth waiting on that. Considering Allison, she did say that there are some impacts that we don't know. And her recommendation that we consider making consideration for monitoring makes sense for me in terms of water quality and the environment. My concern, I guess, would be how do we monitor for usage? How do we know? I mean, we don't know, but how do we know once the word is out that there's a horse beach in Summerland that the usage doesn't go straight up? And I don't know how we would control that if we don't have some sort of permitting system in place, which staff has considered but rejected. We just don't know what kind of impact there will be once the word is out. And is there a plan for what we would do if all of a sudden there is a high increase in usage.
Those are valid questions that staff has discussed. I think the idea of suddenly it becoming well-known, I think the horse community is a fairly tight community, and it is known that people take their horses swimming at that particular beach. I think that the amount of swimming in other beaches in other communities is under-publicized in that it has never been raised at this point. But in conversations with other staff that Jeremy's had in other municipalities, there's an awareness that there's swimming going on at various beaches, but because of the relatively rural nature of it, or the lack of complaints, they haven't been brought to the attention. I think that if council decides to allow the practice to continue, if there was a spike, thinking that there would be no spike and that it would maintain. If there was a spike in usage, I think that it would need to be revisited, and that at any time council can change that direction. I don't think there's a means at this point in time to control it.
How would we know?
Councillor Barkle.
To Councillor Holmes' point, I'd be really, really surprised if suddenly people are trailing their horses any distance to swim in Summerland. People who wanted to do it didn't know about it before. It's just not that popular. And as our CAO said, if there was a sudden change, then we would have to deal with it at the time. But you can't not do something because you have some, well, I guess you could. You have to assess what you think the risk is, and my estimation is that it's not going to change at all just because we have sort of legitimized it a little bit. So that part of the question I'm not too concerned about. And with all due respect to Mr. Cernick, some of the things that he brings up, such as Horse Council BC's guidelines on horses near water, are taken out of context. That's concerning stabling of horses, and you don't stable horses near streams, near water bodies and things like that. It's not in the context of taking a horse for a swim. So, I think we've heard a lot of things, and the things that we really can only rely on entirely is the information, the scientific information that our staff have prepared for us.
Anybody else? Oh, Councillor Carlson, sorry.
I was listening to what the CAO said, and she suggested there's 3 issues. One is the health, the other an environment, and the third the nuisance of the horses. So, looks to me, as a non-horse owner, but also as a beach user, I can understand the concern. I like swimming in the lake. I don't want to see horse manure floating up when I'm trying to swim. It's one of the least enjoyable things I could probably imagine. But I think that there's a way to avoid it that doesn't outright ban people from using the beach. I think that the horse owners, if they want to use this beach, are going to have to be held accountable for it the way that dog owners are. So we, as a society, expect that if you bring your dog to the beach, or you take your dog for a walk, you're going to clean up after your dog. If you're going to take your horse to the beach or take your horse for a walk, you're going to clean up after your horse. And if you're not going to do that, you're not going to get that privilege of using that space anymore. So I think it's really unfortunate it's come to this, and we've had to come so far in this conversation, because it has taken a lot of time for staff and a lot of energy, and it's an issue that should be dealt with, and it's not likely to be concluded tonight, because the horses, if they get to go on the beach, we're going to have to watch and see what happens. If they don't get to go on the beach, then we're going to have to watch and see what happens, because maybe they will go at 10 p.m. at night. There's other things that will perhaps get in the way. So I do think that health-wise, like I said, if we can find a way to make sure that the horses aren't there's no manure in the water, no manure on the beach, you're doing the right thing there. Environmentally, the Rocky Mountain Ridge mussel, unless we get a report back that suggests that this is a really bad idea and the mussels are at risk, I don't think that we've heard anything that suggests that they are at risk from allowing horses. And the nuisance, I do think that limiting the hours and if need be, limiting the number of horses at a time when it comes to that may be something we need to look at. So I think that what staff has proposed is a good place to be, and I think that it needs to be monitored quite closely to make sure that horse owners are doing their due diligence, and they're going to have to enforce themselves, because if they want to use it, they're going to have to use it wisely.
Councillor Peak.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the report that's come through from our staff, and when I look at the concerns from the public, because I certainly have empathy for the conditions of swimming in the area, but council always has to balance out the needs of the community. And historically, we have been a community that have had horses that went down to the water. I believe that if we do monitoring as suggested within the report, we will at least have some baseline to look at. If we feel we need to do more investigation, then that opportunity would be there. I'm pleased that staff have arranged that monitoring, and perhaps it's something we could extend over a couple of years' time, so we do have better information. If council is so inclined to look at this staff recommendation, I would like to suggest that not only that we look at time, so it's looking at being permitted before 10 a.m. and after 7 p.m., but I think that we should have no horses on the weekend, because we are a highly intensive summer region, and I think that that just makes good sense. I do agree with the comments from the other councillors that riders and horse owners will have to be responsible. We expect others within our community to do that for the animals that they have. I make note of the fact that where we have had beaches closed, it's most often because of geese and ducks and the concentration of manure that they put in the water. But I think there's an opportunity for those that have horses that might access the lake to prove to the public that they can do this in a responsible manner. I make recourse to the CAO and know this in fact to be true. The council always has the control to withdraw the opportunity for horses to be on that beach.
Thank you. Councillor Boot, did you have a comment? Question?
Yeah, I actually have a question of the CAO on the wording of the resolution. So the second line, with a horse under the control of its rider for the purpose of riding the horse in Okanagan Lake, does that mean that one rider, one horse? Or does it mean, I mean, that's what it sounds like to me, but, or does it mean there will be, you know, you can take 3 or 4 of your horses down and just, and I don't know, because I've been down there when there's been one person with 3 or 4 horses.
The intent of it is to mean that it's under control. We can, I mean, if council directs that the intent is it for it to mean that it's, you know, one horse, one person, then that's what it can mean. But it's, I'm not sure when Jeremy wrote, I didn't ask him specifically if he meant that he wanted to reduce it to ensure that it was 1 for 1, or that it was just that it wasn't horses let go freely.
Horses gone wild.
Yeah. So council could clarify their intent in making a recommendation.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Did you have a question, a comment?
Yeah,
Councillor Barco.
and to the point that Councillor Boot brought up, I just was there the day before yesterday, and somebody was ponying a horse, and it would be not unusual for one person to bring down 2 horses, or 2 people to bring 3 horses, and I guess we do want to be sure what the intent here is. I would expect that really what you're concerned about is that the horse is under control, not necessarily that it has a rider on it, because that's not really necessary.
I would interpret it much the same way. Anybody else? Councillor Holmes.
Would we follow up on Flinro with their offer to explore further?
Absolutely, and actually they've had a conversation this afternoon, that just came today, and they've had it came from a conversation asking for more information, so we would follow up with Flinro as well as IHA.
Okay.
Councillor.
Just one other thing. I agree with what other councillors have said, that there is an expectation for horse owners to be responsible and to clean up. I don't know if they've proven that in the past. I guess we should give them a chance. I don't know how easy it is to clean up, how it is to net these floating poo out of the water. It's not something I've ever tried. But I think, you know, that I think we have to make it clear somehow that there is an expectation that it's done, you know. And you know, they have to monitor themselves and control themselves, and you know, and they, you know, had they done that at the beginning, we wouldn't be here talking about it right now, I think. So that's putting it bluntly, but there has to be that expectation.
Anybody else? Okay, I think I'd like to make a comment that, you know, I think what I see here is, you know, staff's report has tried to be balanced and offer some opportunities for horse owners to show responsibility. Also, that we've got pursued information and pursued and received information from FINRO that they're willing to do more investigation. And I think it's been pointed out that, you know, I think Councillor Holmes has stated it quite well, that, you know, we are looking for responsible use within the timeframes we're talking about. And I do empathize with the people who have been objecting, and I want to make it clear that if we find that there's been, you know, non-compliance, then we are definitely able to withdraw any advice at this point. You know, at some future date we can do that. So I certainly, I think, regardless of, you know, what people may think, council or staff has tried hard to look at the balance of information and look at the authorities that we have to depend upon. And we've also heard the information that respondents have brought forward. And I think even they should recognize that we're making an attempt here for a balanced look at things, and that we're quite in tune with them in that if there is non-compliance, we will shut it down. So I think that's where I'd like to leave it, and have council bring forward whatever recommendation or whatever amendment to the recommendation they want to make, or the resolution. Someone like to do that? Councillor Trainer?
I just have one more question.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
With regards to our current parks regulation bylaw, if we were to pass this tonight, what kind of changes would need to be made to our current bylaws?
We would review the bylaws and bring them forward, but I think it may be premature if we're waiting for information from IHA and from FLINRO. So I would suggest perhaps that we give it, that staff would bring, it doesn't need to be in the motion, but that staff would bring a report to council when we have the data from, should council pass that to allow it to continue right now, I would say just keep the status quo until such time that we have some data from IHA. And if at that point in time council is satisfied with it and it's working, then we may want to make those changes to the bylaw to formalize the exception.
So essentially this is almost like a trial then, until we get more data?
That would how I would look at it. I think it's very important that we get the data, and because we're operating not, at this point in time, not knowing for sure if there's a health risk. It's suggested that there isn't any, but this will give us far more information. So I think that to wait a period of time before we make the bylaw amendments. In the meantime, staff will start to pull the bylaws and make, we know that some of those bylaws, I think Councillor Holm made that comment about our bylaws. We have a number of them that were in contravention. Anytime we have a chance to clean them up is a good thing.
And I think the very aspect that we're looking at gathering some information and looking at things with some experience on response by horse owners, that we're not taking the agencies that we depend upon at face value, because they've essentially said there's no problem. So, but we're looking at wanting to fill out the information, and if we find there's difficulty that the data presents to us, or the horse owners are not complying in a manner that we feel is necessary, then we certainly we're not set in stone. So I'd like to make that clear. Councillor Peak.
Just a suggestion, both that we clarify that the horse is to be under the control of the owner, and I would like to put forward the suggestion that this not be open for the purposes of horses on the weekends, because we are a tourist area.
Councillor Barco.
I don't know why you wouldn't permit it on the weekend, but you would allow it in the weekdays. I was going to suggest an amendment that be permitted starting earlier at 6 p.m. because I think that's when people would normally get there, between 5 and 6. That's when that beach is popular, because people don't use it because it's in the shade from the cliffs. And that's how things have always sort of started there, because there weren't people there. The horse people would go there, and that's about when. I think that by going to 7, you'd be pushing them quite a bit later than you already are. So, what are council's thoughts on both of those, or either of those amendments?
So just for a point of clarification, there's no motion on the table right now. So if anyone's free to make a motion, and then if it's seconded, then you can debate whether you want to have any amendments to it. Or
I think, let's get a motion on the table, and then we can see what we want to do with it. Councillor
Just
Carlson.
a quick question then regarding the permission time. Would that beach be closed to the public at dusk, as at 10 p.m. as all beaches are? Does that give?
I can't answer that, because I don't know whether they close that piece of property at 10 or not.
Okay.
Okay. I guess, Councillor Barco.
And I'll move that the transitory crossing of the public beach at Lakeshore Drive North with the horse under the control, with the horse under the control of its owner for the purpose of riding the horse in Okanagan Lake be permitted before 10 a.m. and after 6 p.m., and that staff be directed to install appropriate signage at this location. Anybody second that?
Seconder? Councillor Carlson. Okay, further discussion? Councillor Holmes.
Sorry, I missed this owner-rider difference.
Just means that it's implied here that you would have one horse, one rider, and the idea is that the horses have to be under control, which doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be one horse, one rider. You could have one person with 2 or 3 horses. They would be under the control of that person, but you wouldn't have to have a rider for each horse. It's getting too
And they'd have to own the
explicit.
horse.
Well, yeah, okay. Then we're looking at a totally different issue. Councillor Peak.
No, in fact, Councillor Barkwell said riding the horse in Okanagan Lake, so
Yeah, it gets
under
a bit-
control, it does not necessarily mean riding so I don't, how you want to make that congruent.
Yeah, that's. Yeah,
I think
that's
it's for the purpose of riding horses that you may want to, for the resolution as you're speaking to it, you may want it to read that transitory crossing of the public beach at Lakeshore Drive North with a horse under the control of its owner be permitted before 10 a.m. and after 6 p.m.
Yeah. Okay, now we have that motion as stated by Councillor Barco.
That would be a friendly amendment.
Okay,
if you
friendly
want.
Yeah,
amendment.
let's go with the motion as
Okay.
read by
CAO.
our CAO.
Okay, so it's movers sponsor. Okay, Councillor Carlson, you're good? Okay, any further discussion?
What about the second part of that motion? and that staff be directed to install.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, you didn't read that, did you? That should have
I
been
did.
part of
He
it.
did.
Did he?
Did you read
Yes,
that?
he did.
Yes.
Okay, he did read it.
All right, sorry.
Okay, sorry. Okay, any further discussion? Counselor Cielo? Oh, okay. Counselor Boot? Oh, just a minute, first.
I'm just still a little concerned about the horse under the control of its owner. I don't have a problem with if there's one horse and it's being guided or ridden or whatever by one person, whether it's their owner or whoever it happens to be, that person would be responsible for cleaning up after the horse. When they're not in the water, that's one thing. But when they're in the water, I would think, just based on my observations from actually having seen this, that the rider or the owner or the whomever is leading the horse through the water. If there is more than one horse, how are they going to know if one of their horses has defecated in the water? And then they are running the risk that they can't use the beach anymore because they've missed that. I don't know, maybe I'm just being silly about this, but I don't know, one person bringing 2 or 3
Well, if you have
horses down, I
suggestions,
don't know.
if you have suggestions for amendment to the resolution, then by all means make it.
Well,
Or we could just vote
that's
on
why
the
I was
motion.
asking the question, what does that mean? Does that mean a horse under the control of a owner or rider? Or does it mean horses under the control of a single person?
I mean, clearly, the way the recommendation was written is 1 and 1, clearly. But it's a recommendation that can be, right now,
That's what I would like to see.
Right now, the motion that's on the table is for not limited to 1.
So what we can do is, Counselor Barkle?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily want to, I could see a big problem, as Councilor Booth says, if somebody was to bring 3 or 4 horses down, I would expect that would be a pretty rare and unusual event. It is not even terribly common to bring 1 additional horse and pony it, which is why I thought, well, that might be acceptable. But to assuage any concerns that other councillors may have and users, then I will make a friendly amendment that the wording should be that it should be a horse and rider only. And that's seconded by me. Okay.
Keep it as it originally was.
So it's as originally stated,
With the 6 p.m. That's fine.
but with the 6 p.m.
But without for the purpose of riding the horse, just under the control,
Yeah.
one horse and a rider.
So
Under
can we
the
have
control.
Would you like me to read it?
Yeah, read the motion out, please, as
The way I have
managed
it
to butcher it here.
is that transitory crossing of the public beach at Lakeshore Drive North with a horse under the control of a rider be permitted before 10 a.m. and after 6 p.m. And that staff be directed to install appropriate signage at this location.
You're very good to.
Okay, are we good with that? Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Motion's carried, none opposed. Thank you, Council. Move on to 9.2. CAO.
Is that the shared services?
Yeah, shared services.
Okay. So, Council, you have the suggested memorandum of understanding for the regional shared service pilot in your package. I, for some reason, suggested to the manager of legislative services not to include my report from last time in the package, but I don't remember why I would have ever said that. But I have this vague remember that I did. So we had this at council meeting last time, and it was and it was tabled because of the uncertainty around the schools and just some other discussions that council have been having. So the proposed recommendation the proposed motion last time was that the District of Summerland participate in the Regional Shared Services Pilot Project with a financial contribution of $9,000, and further, that staff is authorized to execute the memorandum of understanding with amendments to the contribution amount to $9,000. It says $12,500 in here, and we talked about it being more representative to the taxpayers. The purpose of this is to explore opportunities to share services with the school board or Penticton, and to bring an outside consultant. The province would be paying 50%, and the school board and regional district and city of Penticton are paying the balance.
Okay, so that motion, that is not written down here.
No, it's, you don't have it in front of you.
So you're looking for us to,
Either that or pass a resolution to deny, to reject the request to participate.
okay, Councillor Peak.
Well, I think it represents an opportunity as something that we've talked about, which is to have a discussion around shared services. Certainly, if we have the province at the table for 50%, then the timing to have that discussion is at least now.
Good, thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, I don't know why they weren't interested when we first proposed the idea to them and when we met with them in March, but now that they're interested now, since we presented the idea to originally, it makes some sense to go ahead with this.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, someone like to bring the resolution as stated? Councillor Peak?
I'll bring the resolution as stated, which I don't have in front of me, so I'm going to rely on staff to supplement it.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Trainer, thank you very much. Any further discussion?
I just have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What does it mean process will be audited by the Penticton Indian Band?
There was discussion at the beginning about the Penticton Indian Band participating financially, and they have administrative services, and they felt at the time that they didn't have the resources to come to the table, and they didn't have the financial resources, but they're interested in being part of it, and if there was any opportunities either for us or for them, so they will be participating when possible.
So kind of like auditing a university
exactly.
course. Okay, thanks.
Okay. All set? All in favor? Thank you. Motion carried, none opposed. Thank you very much. Moving forward, any resolutions to be brought forward? No, thank you. Correspondence 10.1. Is there anybody who wants to raise anything from correspondence? Councillor Peak and Councillor Holmes.
Yes, I'd like to bring forward the monthly planning report in reference to, get the right page here, page 66 of the agenda. I make note of the fact that this is the largest number of dollar value in permits that we've had in several years, and our department has been extremely busy. We've supplemented staff to be able to keep us up to date on the work that needs doing, and I'd like to commend staff on that opportunity coming forward. It certainly shows the amount of economic activity within our area.
Councillor Holmes and Councillor Carlson.
Yeah, I'd like to pull forward the letter from the Marginal Arts Festival. I would like to say that I think we made a good investment when we agreed to provide them with support. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but their program is pretty much set. They have tickets are available. They have quite a lineup, including on the Saturday night, Campbell Riga, who is George Riga's son, who's coming to perform. He's a saxophonist, a 3-time Juno Award winner, a Grammy nominee winner. He's coming with a ensemble performing quite a rare performance. It's a homecoming for him, so it's going to be quite a night, I think. So there'll be music and spoken word, and it's going to be quite a festival, I think. So it's going to be a great event for Summerland.
Great.
Can I pull one more?
Go ahead.
I also want to pull the letter from the Ministry of Transport regarding public transit infrastructure. I guess we don't know yet where this money will be going, but I hope some of it comes here, and it seems like an opportunity to expand the service to Kelowna and also within our own area.
Could I speak to that for a minute? I haven't had an opportunity to write a report to council on the work that we've been doing with the increased transit, so I'll be trying to do that for next week. And it's all based on the Transit Future Plan and being able to move some of those initiatives forward. The biggest one for us is the one that's moving towards Kelowna. So, but anytime there's an extra funding involved from transit, our portion comes from us. So there is some monetary implications for us as well. So I will bring up. Thank you for bringing that. I've been meaning to get a report to council.
Thank you. Councillor Holmes.
And just on that, anytime there's something about public transport comes up, I want to take the opportunity to say if there's any opportunity to review our existing schedule, I think we should take advantage of it because it's not working for everybody in the community.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Councillor Carlson?
It's okay. It was building report, but I'll talk to Ian later.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to bring anything forward? Okay, like a motion to receive then, please, that's in front of us there. Councillor Barkle?
Yeah, I move that the informational items included in the report dated for the July 2nd, 2016 regular council meeting from the manager be received for information.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Booth, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carried. Okay, moving ahead, committee, commission minutes. We have the Cultural Plan Task Force minutes. CAO?
You're just referring,
Just receiving it,
Yeah.
that's great. Okay, Councillor Peak, would you like to bring that motion forward?
I certainly shall. That the task force minutes included in the report dated for the July 12, 2016 regular council meeting be received for information.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Holmes?
Sure, if you insist.
I'm picking on you guys because you're cultural task force reps.
We're very familiar with the minutes.
Okay, all in favor? Thank you, motion's carried. Okay, 11.1, proposed dock addition at 5849 Dale Avenue. You're a planner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This application is to build an extension, a relatively small extension onto the existing dock at 5849 Dale Avenue, which is in the Lighthouse Landing neighborhood of Trout Creek. There is an existing dock which is shown on the screen, and the addition that they're looking for is a 3 meter by 3 meter addition to the south side of the dock. It's still quite a ways from the south property line of the adjacent property. The reason for this application is that we have received a referral from Front Counter BC with respect to this addition, and it does not fall in line with our current regulations, which limits the width of a dock to 9 meters. And the 9 meter line goes from the north edge of the dock to the red line, which is what is constructed out there now. So they want to extend that by a further 3 meters. So we've brought that application to council to determine how they would like staff to respond to the referral.
Thank you. Councillor Peak, questions of staff?
Yes, Mr. McIntosh, could you show me the side yard line on coming down to the bottom of the frame on that property?
The south property line of the subject property is in this location, and the north property line adjacent to Powell Beach is in this location.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Carlson?
I'm just wondering if you can clarify, on the image it shows the boat lift on the left, like on the upper side of the north side of the dock there, but the purpose of adding this space is to be able to put the boat there? It's on the opposite side? I don't understand why they need that much more space opposite of where they dock their boat.
Yes, my understanding is that they have a 30-foot boat which would not fit in this spot, so they're gonna put it in this spot, and that boat lift there is for other boats or visitors' boats.
To follow up then, so if they were to put a boat lift off the end of the dock, does that now increase the length of the dock by however wide that boat is?
That is possible.
If the boat
And
was
it's a-
there, it would be sticking out another 2 or 3 meters?
If they put a boat lift there, then yes, that would be sticking out another couple of meters.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Someone like to bring a motion forward, please? Councillor Carlson?
I will move that the referral from Front Counter BC regarding the proposed dock addition at 5849 Dale Avenue as shown on Schedule B of the July 12th, 2016 report from the Director of Development Services be denied. Oh, and that staff be directed to respond to the referral from Front Counter BC accordingly.
Okay, so you're.
Do you have a seconder?
Seconder?
Oh, what the heck, I'll second it, doesn't matter, I can speak
Doesn't
against it.
So this is a motion to deny, correct?
And I will second it.
I see. Okay, thank you. Councillor Barkle?
Is this, is your concern that the deck would be too long if they put a lift on it, or is it just the length?
My concern is that the initial plan for this dock was to have a boat that is part of the length of this dock. It's already a very obtrusive and substantial piece of infrastructure, and to add another 2 or 3 meters and to have a boat sitting at the very end of this dock, I don't think that that is necessary, and I don't think that that is fair, and I think that sometimes we should respect what's going on around us in our environment. I don't think that by adding that extra length to the dock, the landowner is doing that.
Thank you. Councillor Barkle?
How do you contrast this with the sort of a nod that we gave to the dock at Crescent Beach, where the regulations say you have to be 5 meters from the property line, and the property was only 8 meters wide? You know, this doesn't look like it would have too much of an impact on any neighbors and or users of the lake, whereas that dock was, you know.
But I know, I mean, this dock has already had a significant impact on the neighborhood and on the users of the lake. And I think that by adding an extra couple of meters to it, we are adding some more fuel to that. And I think that if this was to be discussed with the people who will be impacted by it, you would probably get some comment and some concern raised about it. I haven't discussed it with any of them, but I do know that simply to put a bigger boat at your bigger dock, I think, I just disagree.
First of all, did you have a comment?
No.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Peak?
I have a question and then I have some comments. Mr. McIntosh, to the upper side of the picture, is that the park that's beside?
Yes, that is Powell Beach Park to the north.
That would be my understanding. Thank you for the clarification. I have no difficulty with an addition to the side of this dock, and I don't see the difficulty in having a boat in front of the dock. I understand where often owners will have a smaller vessel that may have a boat lift and can be used on the boat lift. Not always is there a boat lift added on the end. That is not what this application is about. And I don't have a difficulty with the extension on the dock as shown and as brought to the Front Counter BC.
Councillor Boot?
I'm not sure if you can do this, Mr. Planner, but is there a way of seeing the buoy placement at Powell Beach? It looks like there's a little white thing up there anyways. Oh, that's the lighthouse. Right.
Yes.
Okay, well, actually, knowing that, yeah, I don't have a concern with that as well. My concern would be with the swimmers, but if they're approaching from the north and the lighthouse is there, that would mean that they would have to be out a ways anyways, beyond the swimming buoys, I would think. So I don't have a problem with it moving to the south. I would if it was going out further into the lake, but having it parallel to the beach, I don't have a concern.
Councillor
Just a
Carlson?
quick question. Is there now a house on that property?
There is a house under construction on that property.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay. Call the vote then. All in favor of denial? Okay, one in favor. Opposed? Thank you. The motion fails. So now we have to present.
Is there another motion?
Is there another motion that can be brought forward? Councillor Peak?
I will bring the motion back as it reads to be supported, and the staff be directed to respond to the referral from Front Counter BC accordingly.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Booth, thank you. Okay, any further discussion on this motion? Hearing none. All in favor? Thank you. So that's opposed. One opposed.
No, I think I'm
Two opposed? Okay. Two opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to 11.2, CAO.
I'll just do a brief introduction before turning it over to Mr. McIntosh. As council would have noted in the package for this Canada 150 project, this particular fund, this particular Canada 150 fund allows multiple projects. This is a particular one that was raised by the Heritage Commission, but staff is discussing the opportunities to perhaps do another one at one of our last meetings. I believe it was Council Barkwell that brought up the viewing tubes at Giant's Head, and that's one that's been discussed, so we're anticipating likely at the next meeting we would bring another suggestion forward. The staff couldn't get it all together, but it does allow multiple applications.
So we can go with this application now, and then we'll...
That's the reason we started talking about it, was because I wanted to make sure that this was sort of first priority, and then as we investigated further, we recognized that we could...
So we can entertain this motion and deal with another one in that meeting. Okay, thank you.
And then Mr. McIntosh is going to speak to it.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the CAO mentioned, this is one of the opportunities for intakes for grant funding for Canada 150 projects, which is to celebrate Canada's 150th birthday next year. And the Heritage Advisory Committee has brought forward the idea of helping the district with the grant application to name the two park areas shown on the screen as Waterfront Heritage Park. And the second part of that resolution would be to authorize staff to make the application, which is an $11,000 ask for a commemorative plaque and some interpretive signage that reflects the important transportation corridor that the Okanagan Lake provided in our past. And there's some evidence of that attached to the staff report provided by the Heritage Commission. So there is a $3,000 in-kind contribution from the district to install the signage. The $11,000 ask is to have the signage created, and it would be placed in the northern section of that park area.
Thank you. Questions, Councillor Carlson, then Councillor Holmes.
I don't know if a question or comment or a thought, but I think it's a good idea. I also think that we have a pier down at Rotary Beach that, to my knowledge, doesn't have substantial signage with it. Anybody? Yeah?
I think it does.
Mr. Mayor, there was substantial signage on that pier, interpretive signage with a photograph. It needs replacement, and the Heritage Commission is in the process of finding the artwork that was originally placed there and having that sign redone. So right at the moment, there's nothing there, but hopefully there will be something there shortly.
Okay, I guess the question then comes, is it worth tying it all together? Because without that pier and that wharf, there wouldn't have been a transportation corridor, and it's kind of a neat thing, and if it needs to be replaced, maybe it's worth putting it all as one project.
Councillor Peak.
I
Oh,
think that-
pardon me, Councillor Holmes was heavy.
No, go ahead.
Multiple submissions might be allowed, but politically, would this at all jeopardize our big one?
No, this is a whole, as far as, it's a whole different program, and I was just gonna make a comment on that. The other, they name it the same, but Canada 150 infrastructure is through Western diversification, and this is through Heritage Canada, so there is no crossover on them. They're trying to encourage these smaller projects. I have no idea if 1 or 2 or 3 would
Be successful.
within this same program. I'm not sure that it may jeopardize, but not the big one.
Right, okay.
Okay, Councillor Peak, then Councillor Barkwell, and then I'm going to make a comment.
Thank you. I want to commend the Heritage Commission for bringing this idea forward. I think it's a good one, and I appreciate Councillor Carlson's remark in regards of the picture and storyboard that was there, because I can remember reading it when I came on holidays, in particular, for the major dock that we have down at Rotary Beach. And I don't know whether those funds would extend to do both, but certainly that could be considered in the use of the funds that might be forthcoming. But I want to commend them on bringing it forward. I think it has good foresight.
Councillor Barkwell.
Isn't the park there where the creek comes out already called something, like
Kin Park.
Kiwanis Park? Kin Park? And they're okay with like taking their name away from it? And
No, Kin Park would remain. This would be a different.
Mr. Backus has
so this doesn't include the yellow, oh, okay.
the
I
horsey
thought
park.
It went through the whole
Yeah.
stretch.
It's
Not
like
to be confused
it's
with
like a
the
street changing names
Yeah,
halfway.
okay, you're now in Kin Park.
Depends which direction you're going in, doesn't it?
That's right.
Were you asking the planner a question?
Well, I was confused about the exact area and names, okay.
Okay. Councillor Trainer.
I think this is a great idea. I love reading signs, especially about the history, and I think people really enjoy it, especially tourists. I was just wondering, they're asking for 11,000. Could that 3,000 not be included in there? And what was the 3,000 for? Is that just staff time to install the signs?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the grant application does suggest that if there's in-kind contributions, that it would be looked upon favorably,
Okay.
and the $3,000 would be staff time to install the sign.
Which we would have to do anyway. I
Okay.
mean, yeah.
Okay, so I have a question, basically, the CAO. If we've got several potential signage issues that may be applicable for this funding, would it be better to defer this now and then bring something forward in 2 weeks where we've got a combination? What's your thoughts on that? I just sort of think I see us doing this and then doing another one, and it's primarily because we've learned that there may be more we could do, and we would bring 2 together, or
I
whatever.
think I think your suggestion in most grant funding programs would be the right way to do it. However, this one, it's a very unstructured program. Even the deadline date is a little nebulous.
it's
Like
not
it
really
could be
established.
this week, it could be in a couple weeks. It all depends on how many they're getting.
Oh, okay.
So I think
Just
there's
get one in there.
advantage of getting it in and then getting
Okay.
some more thoughts. We've had some difficulty because the amount's not large. It's difficult, as you know, staff is really busy right now, and it's difficult pinning down to get the other one done. This one, the Heritage Committee has done a lot of the work, so I still hope we can get another one done, but I would hate to miss it.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. Okay, any further questions? Staff? Okay, would someone like to bring the recommendation forward, please? The resolution? Councillor Peak.
Council passed the following resolutions: that the 2 park areas located on Lakeshore Drive, as shown on Schedule A of the July 12th, 2016 report from the Director of Development Services, be named Waterfront Heritage Park, and 2, that staff be authorized to prepare and submit an application for the installation of interpretive signage at Waterfront Heritage Park to the Canadian Heritage Canada 150 Fund.
Seconder, please. Councillor Trainer, thank you. Any further discussion? I'd like to thank the CAO for a clarification there, because I think she's quite right. Not knowing precisely the timeframes and volumes, we'd be better off to get an application in, so. Okay, we had a seconder. Do we call in favor? Thank you. Motion carries, none opposed. Thank you very much. Okay, 12.1.
12.1, we've included this drought response implementation plan to council. We've just received it last week. Staff has not yet reviewed it all. It also should go to the Water Committee for some discussion before bringing back to council, but we wanted to ensure that council received it and was aware of it. So we're just suggesting a resolution that would receive it for information and that it refers it back to staff. It does say for further review. It should say for further review and report back to council.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Barco.
Question for our CAO. I reviewed the report. I can't say I read every word, but it was lengthy and had a lot of detail. But I didn't notice anything about storage. It was all about stream flows and such, and response when stream flows reach levels. But it didn't sort of say how that response might relate to the amount of water we have in storage. Why is that?
And I have not reviewed, I've done even less than you have, and I haven't talked to any of our utility staff yet, so that would be part of what how comprehensive or not it is will come back in the report that we bring back to you.
Something to keep in mind
Yeah.
when we look at it.
Yeah.
I think this is information to review, because we need to probably look at it with respect to a specific drought response for us. So would someone like to bring that resolution forward, please? Councillor Barton.
I move that the council pass the following resolution, that the Thompson Okanagan Drought Response Implementation Plan dated July 2016 and provided by the Ministry of Forest Lands and Natural Resources Operations be received for information, and that the plan be referred to staff for further review.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Holmes, thank you very much. Any further discussion? None. All in favor? Thank you very much. Carried.
Just glad we don't have a drought.
Okay, now we're going
12.3.
12.3. That's correct.
We will turn that over
to our
to the guy that's leaving.
to the guys tried to scoot out the door. Welcome.
Good evening, Council. The report before you is to provide some information on the proposed project to upgrade PRV 10 and install a new valve and a replacement of a valve on Prairie Valley Road. This work was approved in the budget. We're planning to do it in late October. In conjunction with it, there's a significant water disruption that would be required to complete the work, and that's the purpose of bringing this forward, is to bring it to Council's attention of the challenges and the risks that we're facing, and kind of lay out some of those along with the mitigation measures that we're looking at right now as we work through the plan to complete this work. So just a quick overview of the work. We're looking to replace the components of the PRV station, as well as installing a new valve on Prairie Valley Road at Sinclair and replacing an existing valve at Morrow Avenue. To do this, the disruption that we're looking at is going to be in the order of 48 hours. That's to drain the line from, I guess, above the PRV, as well as complete the work and then reload the water into the downtown core and areas below PR10. In the report, there's five risks that are listed there, and some of the mitigation measures that we're looking to do. So some of the steps that we're looking to take is determining I guess a comprehensive communication plan to the public in advance and as we get closer to the work, to ensure that they're aware of the outage that we're looking to deal with, why the work is necessary, what they can expect during construction, what they can expect following construction. Looking at ways we can limit that overall outage and the time to complete the work, identifying the areas that are going to be directly impacted, and making sure that any of the critical locations that must have water are identified and that measures are taken to provide that. looking to establish an emergency preparedness plan, working with the fire department to come up with an emergency response plan. Obviously, with limited water or no water in the majority of the town, that's going to be a major concern. And then ensuring compliance with WorkSafe BC. That's one of the components of why we're doing the work as well, or that we need to consider in the upgrades, is that following this, when we do maintenance work, we need to ensure that the confined space of PR10 complies with all the WorkSafe regulations. So as noted, further reports will be coming to council. This was to, I guess, introduce the project and the concerns to council. And again, noting that we're looking to do the work in late October.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, Councillor Booth.
Will this result in road closures as well?
There would be road closures at the location of the two valve installations that are noted in Schedule A of the report, as well as I think a partial closure of the oval about that's where PR10 is located. So there'd be a partial closure there.
So there'd be alternate routes around the construction site?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Peak.
Will this result in better control for future works on the water system?
I guess it's more to alleviate the issues with the aging infrastructure within PR10, which is the main supply to the downtown and one of the major PRVs that controls the pressures from the water treatment plant into the downtown. I guess in the initial part of the report, we talked about why this is important. If this were to fail completely, then we'd be doing the work under an emergency situation. The outage would likely be a lot longer, trying to coordinate resources on an emergency situation and getting the parts and the labor and everything in place to do that work. So that's one of the reasons why we're moving forward.
So it's good anticipatory work for any future difficulties.
Yeah, and this is one that's been noted for a while that we're looking to deal with.
And I'm very pleased that you'll be doing an education and having communication with the public around this, because it'll be particularly important.
Yeah, and I guess just a comment, part of the work plan that we're looking to establish in the work that we're doing now is contacting other municipalities and other districts to see if they've experienced an outage of similar length, to see if there's any lessons learned that we can take away from that. So that would be part of future reports.
Excellent, thank you.
Councillor Barkle.
I'd like to share with you a suggestion given to me the other day when we were talking about notifying people for boil water advisories and such, and where the comment was that the older people, they don't drive, they don't see the sandwich boards, they listen to the radio, and a lot of them have interior health carriers that come and give them the meals and stuff. So with I don't know if you can get the cooperation of Interior Health to pass the message on through their care aid workers. It would be, I think, reaching a lot of people who wouldn't otherwise be notified.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? I'd just like to congratulate you on the kind of thoroughness of things and looking at a preemptive situation, because as you say, if this were to fail, we would have, have an emergency situation that we'd have to try and do the work anyway. So appreciate the thoroughness, particularly around communication and so on. So thank you very much. Somebody like any further questions of Director of Public Works at all? Okay, thank you. Okay, would someone like to bring the resolution forward, please? Councillor Barkle.
I move that the council pass the following resolution, that the report PRV number 10 upgrade in Prairie Valley Road valve installation submitted by the Director of Works and Utilities on July 12, 2016 be received for information. And I would like to add, you have my sympathies for doing this during the same time as the Garnet Valley.
Seconder, please. Well, Councillor Booth, thank you. All in favor? Okay, motion's carried and opposed. Thank you very much. Okay, 12.4, 9600 Victoria Road North, environmental liability.
We will have the Manager of Legislative Services speak to that one.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, in December of 2015, staff were directed to negotiate direct sale of district-owned property located at 9600 Victoria Road South to Mr. Bill Laidman. During the process, staff have uncovered information that raised concern of liability exposure due to possible environmental contamination of the site. A Stage 1 preliminary site investigation was completed by Valhalla Environmental Consulting, and the results of which, from those results, staff are not recommending any further testing of the site. And the reasons are located in the report from Jeremy Deniger.
Thank you.
At the meeting that we had discussed it, of whether or not to get the environmental testing, we had indicated that if it was that, before confirming the sale, we needed to know if the risk was very low. And at this point in time, we feel that the risk is very low.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Peak?
Yeah, I appreciate staff that was farmed out to get an investigation done, and I'm satisfied with the report coming back as it was stated.
Okay, thank you very much. So, sorry, Councillor Traynor.
This might be a silly question, but does Bill get a copy of this report?
Yes, he's aware of the report.
He is? Okay.
Okay. Someone like to bring the resolution forward, please? Councillor Holmes.
Move that council pass the following resolution, that the Stage 1 preliminary site investigation of the district-owned property located at 9600 Victoria Road South, provided by Valhalla Environmental Consulting, Inc., dated May 2016, be accepted for information, and that staff be directed to complete the sale of this property to Bill Laidman at a fair market value.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Traynor, thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Motion carries. None opposed. Thank you very much. Okay. Any new business, Corporate Officer? Nothing? Okay. Bylaws 14.1. CAO?
Well, the first one is strictly an adoption of the Parks in Lower Town.
Right.
That was given 3 readings previously.
Okay. Someone like to bring that resolution forward, please? As presented, actually. Councillor Boot?
I move that the resolution come forward is moved as presented.
Thank
Pardon
you.
me.
Seconder, please. Councillor Traynor, thank you very much. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. None opposed. Okay, moving ahead to 14.2.
This one is,
Oh,
this
that's-
one is also a bylaw that's ready for, 2 bylaws that are ready for consideration for adoption, Thornburg Street.
Mhm. Okay, so, move down here. Okay, so it's for adoption. Someone like to bring that forward as presented? Councillor Holmes?
As presented.
Seconder, please. Councillor Boot? Thank you very much. All in favor? Okay, motion carries. None.
I'm opposed.
You're opposed? Motion carries, 1 opposed. Okay, 14.3. Official Community Plan Bylaw Amendment, Parks in Lower Town. CAO?
And I'm not even using a computerized system today, and I'm out of order. I just need the bylaw. You may have. Sorry, which one out?
Sorry. 14.3.
So this one, Ian, did you want, you're going to, Mr. McIntosh is going to speak to this one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a new, 2 new bylaws to essentially designate and zone the southern portion of the parkland that was the subject of the discussion with respect to the 150 Canada grant. And there are, just to advise council, there are going to be little bits and pieces of land that is used as park that has never been designated or zoned. As we discover them, the old zoning bylaw allowed park in any designation in any zone, so they were just made parks and they weren't, the legislation didn't follow them up. So in this particular case, The property is opposite Beaver Street. There's 4 separate titles there, plus the Beaver Street road end that goes from Lakeshore Drive to the shore of Okanagan Lake. Again, it is designated currently as low-density residential, reflecting the use that was there prior to the district purchasing those properties. It is currently zoned RSD1, which is single-family residential. And so these 2 bylaws would designate on the OCP and zone the property shown on the screen as parkland. And these bylaws will go to public hearing if council gives them the go-ahead tonight.
Thank you. Any questions of our planner, please? Councillor Boot.
Does the same thing need to be done for the area north of that?
The area a few lots to the north was done, that bylaw was just adopted before we dealt with this one. This is the second piece of that.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Councillor Peak.
I'd like to commend previous councils on their foresight at purchasing land and making it available for public usage. I think that's a great advantage on our waterfront.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson.
When we were looking at the Heritage Beach signage issue, some of that was designated as a private residences. Can you just clarify how much of that shoreline is private and how much of it is district owned? Because I'm a little bit confused. I thought it was all owned by the district, but now I understand it's not.
Sure, Mr. Mayor. There are 2 houses, as you can see on the screen there, that are privately owned, and the north house spans 3 lots, and the south house also spans 3 lots.
So there's a little sort of it looks like someone's private sort of beach area. But to me, when I look at the map, that it looks like it's in the town park area. So, I guess I just don't know, because it looks like someone's using it for their own, but on there it looks like it's part of ours.
There is, if you're speaking to this north house, when you go down there and actually look, the house is very close to the north property line, and there is some area there that looks like it's being used by the homeowner, but there's no fence or nothing demarcating it exactly. So it is owned by the district. Okay. It is parkland.
Okay, because I thought so, but I wasn't sure. But it's quite a nice, they've got a boat, their rowboat and some nice chairs, and it's all very like their own front yard.
Just a note on that, last year it was actually brought to our attention to perhaps put some signage up there to indicate that it is actually public, because it says chairs are all in a circle,
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what's happened.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I was just wondering.
Yeah, so it is something that we, I just noticed the other day when I went by, actually, that it got lost since last year, so I was going to bring it back to their attention.
Thank you, that clears it up.
Thank you. Councillor Peak.
Yeah, I appreciate your comment, because I did bring that to the CAOs, and I know other people did last year. It's actually 2 areas. There's one on what we're looking at further south, the one we're looking at right now. There's a little cove in there that appears to be attached to that house. And then on the other one, it's opposite Butler Street. There's another area that I think they have a fire pit as well. Well, I go sit on whoever's chairs are on the public land and commune with the geese quite regularly. I think it's a lovely little site. And if it's signed so that people know it's a public park, I have no problem with there being chairs down there permanently that somebody's put there. I just want people to know that they can go there.
Right. Okay.
For both areas.
Okay. Councillor Barkle.
I agree with Councillor Peak. I think it's very nice of the residents in the area to provide that for the public.
And they have a buoy, a life thing, a ring that you could toss out if some child was swimming and got in trouble.
So they're assuming liability.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, would someone like to bring that recommendation, that resolution forward as presented, please? Councillor Trainer.
I will bring that forward as presented.
Seconder, please. Councillor Carlson, thank you very much. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Motion carries, none opposed. So that goes to public hearing?
Well, that's number
next.
3 there.
Yeah, right, exactly. Okay, on to 14.5.
4 was pulled,
That's
waiting
right.
for inspector approval,
Okay, so we're going to 14.5.
which will turn over to Mr. McIntosh.
Okay, Mr. Plant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This has been a long time coming. This represents the council's direction back in late 2014 and more officially in December of 2015 to investigate and bring forward options with respect to putting zoning over the water to essentially give us, to give the district the right to regulate land use out to the municipal boundary in the water. And this will remove the issue of us having to bring dock referrals to council as they come from Front County BC, because these will make the zoning regulations enforceable. So if anybody doesn't meet them, they would have to go through the variance permit process, complete with the fee and the notification of neighbors. So the thought with respect to the zoning in the lake is that there would be 3 separate zones, and it would follow, you can kind of see on the, this is an overview, the pink line is the 182 meter mark, which is the municipal boundary, which goes 182 meters out from the natural boundary out into the lake. And in the residential areas, there would be 2 zones is what we're proposing. One that's within 100 meters of the foreshore, which allows for docks as well as recreational uses and moorage buoys. And from the 100 meter mark out to the municipal boundary, it prohibits docks and mooring and only allows recreational use. And the theory there is that people could apply for a variance permit and council could issue variance permits out to the 100 meter mark. Beyond that, if somebody wanted a dock, they would have to actually go through a rezoning exercise. The orange piece here is commercial zoning, which allows for boat rentals and other light commercial activity. And this little spot here is out adjacent to Crescent Beach, where we have somebody wanting to pursue boat rentals. There's also a commercial zone which goes again from the foreshore out to the municipal boundary that is adjacent to Peach Orchard Park and Rotary Beach and the commercial areas, the marina, et cetera, and the waterfront hotel. It then goes back to the residential component until we hit the South Okanagan Sailing Association, and there's a portion there as well that has the commercial use to allow for more commercial activity. And then when we hit Highway 97, the prohibition zone, which is from the 100 meter mark out, is all the way along adjacent to Highway 97, so there would be no wharfs or docks allowed in that area. And then we go back to the dual zone until we hit Powell Beach, which has another commercial potential there. And then the final piece is the beach adjacent to Sunoco Park, which again allows for some commercial use. All of those beaches are under the care and control of the district, so just because the zoning allows it, there still wouldn't be able to be commercial uses there unless the district authorized them. There are a couple of other pieces that go along with this. There are some new definitions that we're proposing. We're going to define dock as a structure extending over the water, floating or fixed, that is connected to the shoreline and can be used as a landing or wharfage place for watercraft. We're going to add a definition of a buoy, which is a float or similar object that's anchored to the bed of the lake and can be used to moor a watercraft. Moorage is tying a watercraft to a buoy. Wharfage is tying a watercraft to a dock. And a watercraft is a boat, sailboat, jet ski, canoe, kayak, or anything else that is transportation supported by water. The only new piece of any of this is the notion of buoys and moorage. Right now, our bylaw is silent on it. So there, in our investigation of other bylaws, moorage buoys have become an issue in other places. So we're suggesting that the only regulation that we're proposing is that you can have one buoy for every 10 meters of property line fronting the water. So if you have a 10-meter wide beach frontage, you can have one moorage buoy. If you have 20 meters, you get 2, and 30 meters and over is a maximum of 3. And when you're tying up to a moorage buoy, you can only moor continuously for 72 hours. And after that, you have to let go for a period of 24 hours before you can hook back up again. And that is to prevent people from hooking to a moorage buoy somewhere and just leaving their boat forever. So those are the essential pieces of the legislation that we're proposing, and we're looking for input from council on that.
Thank you. Councillor Peak?
It's a good report. I appreciate the summation, and I certainly agree with the work that we've put forward. I would like to bring process into discussion, and I would perhaps like to recommend that we don't do first and second reading or whatever it is that we've got under consideration, but that we do a public open house and allow our public to have a look at this and make some comments. This council was very clear that they wanted to have good communication and transparent decision-making, and I think in putting forward readings that we make an indication that we've already presupposed what we'll do. So I'd like to have the opportunity for the public to come out and understand it and have comments to it.
Yeah. CEO?
That's certainly something that council can do, is have further conversation. We did pass a resolution to move forward to put zoning in conversation I've had with the planner and with some of council subsequent. It was our recommendation that you would actually do first and second reading to make it clear what you were thinking, and not hold the public hearing, but start a public consultation. That's a very common approach as well, that you actually do first and second reading, not third, and that's because after second reading, you could still make amendments without making any changes. As long as you don't go to third reading, you can make amendments to your bylaw depending on the input that you've heard. So it's both ways work perfectly well, but if you want to be able to say this is, if you know what you're, depending if you want to go out saying this is what we've come up with, provide comments and discussion on this, or if you want to just say give us your thoughts on zoning in the water, then we were just going by the direction that council had given us to prepare the bylaws.
So essentially, it's a little, in terms of what we normally do, it's a little unique to just hold it at second reading to make sure that we
Rather than going
people
right,
understand our intent, and then we
rather, when you go straight to a public hearing, that's usually on non-controversial, and we don't know if this is controversial or well-received or not, because we haven't had any input. So instead of going straight to public hearings are a one-sided communication. Someone comes to the counter or to the podium and they tell council what they think, but you don't engage in dialogue. If you open, if you decide to have an open house or send information to the households, you will then encourage dialogue and encourage the two-way conversation before you would still have to hold a public hearing at that, after that, but you would gather the information before actually formally going to a public hearing.
And if I may, Mr. Mayor, that's what I was speaking to. I would like to see us go out with the information we have in hand, that we're looking for input from the public, and an education process about what we're interested in doing. And again, I think it's transparency, good communication, and I know you can do it the other way. I just think this is a clearer, cleaner process.
that is your suggestion, rather than do the first and second reading.
That would be my suggestion for discussion.
Councillor Holmes?
Yeah, I think that'd be the cleaner approach rather than trying to make some amendments later on.
Okay. Any other comments? Councillor Barker?
So just to be clear, are you suggesting we don't pass it for first and second reading, and we send the sort of letters that we would for a public hearing out to people, just to be sure about things before drafting the bylaw?
That's Councillor Peak's suggestion. My suggestion is that you would pass first and or first read. My suggestion, since council had already directed us pass a resolution to prepare a bylaw, my previous experience shows that putting a bylaw on the table to give somebody opportunity to comment is helpful. So I would suggest at least perhaps doing first reading and then doing public consultation on it. But the other way works just as well.
Mr. Planner, you have a comment?
Just a point of clarification, we would, on this bylaw, we would not be sending out notifications to property owners because it affects more than 10 properties. So we would just put out the regular advertising in the newspaper.
Unless we decided in an open house, which isn't statutory.
Yes,
we
that's
could
correct.
we could do it whichever manner council wanted to.
Councillor Peak.
I wanted to speak to Councillor Barkwell's statement, and I appreciate Mr. McIntosh's input, because to my mind, you wouldn't do letters, but you would do a public open house that would be advertised. You do it in a consultative manner, and you advertise as you would for other things.
Okay, it's Councillor Trainer.
So if we did an open house, they would be reviewing basically what we have here, the report, and then giving their feedback?
But there's many different ways of doing it. I believe on something like this, where it's somewhat technical, it's better to give them something, a suggestion, and to understand the ramifications of what kind of impact it would be, potentially.
Councillor, or CAO, Mr. Planner. sorry.
Yeah, what we would normally do, our past practice would be to put up boards similar to what you would see on the screen, with a bit more discretion or discussion about the buoys and the time period and the definitions. Put it all out for people to read, and then we'd have staff there to answer any questions. We'd take the feedback and then put that all together for council's review.
So, CAO, what are the implications of, say, only doing first reading as opposed to first and second? Because you mentioned perhaps holding it first.
No, but there's no, I think the discussion is whether or not you want to put any bylaw on the table, or give it a reading or two. There's no, I just said first. It doesn't make any difference if it's first and second, or just first.
Okay.
The question is, do you want to leave it with no bylaw on the table, or
Yeah.
put a bylaw on the table?
Personally, I guess with the amount of detail that's with the report, it would seem to make sense to actually go to first and second, and then the public has something to specifically look at. And that's.
Well, first, if you wanted it to be less, look like you're less along the process, you could do just first reading, if you were interested in getting a bylaw on the table, just do first, just to get, because that's just introducing a bylaw, that's not taking it any further.
I certainly appreciate what Councillor Peak's saying. It's just that there seems to be enough technical information here that it's almost as if they need that to be able to look at what we're trying to present. Yeah, Councillor Peak.
All the technical aspects would go to an open house to be spoken to and shown. I just think the process, again, is cleaner without doing a first reading at all.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Barkman.
Yeah,
I'm neither way on it.
I'm not quite sure which way I feel on this, but I was going to say the same thing as Councillor Peak. I think your point that I don't think it's necessary to give the bylaw first reading. We can say this is the bylaw we're proposing, and this is what it means. If we take the open house route before passing anything, which I guess I'm starting to lean towards.
Okay, Councillor Booth.
A moment ago, the CAO spoke of potential ramifications, or possible ramifications. It's kind of gone over my head. What might be involved in that?
Well, Mr. McIntosh can speak to more details on that, but all the things we talked about when we were talking about the pros and cons of putting in zoning in the water. I mean, the bottom line is, if you own property on the waterfront, the district has more control. And whether or not we put more or less in, it always has to, it's by bylaw, so there has to be public hearings, et cetera, but we are assuming that property owners are going to be glad, waterfront property owners are going to be glad, because a houseboat can't then come and plop themselves down in front of the a piece of property and remain there for the whole entire season.
Right.
But we don't know, we're making that assumption. And if we're talking about being consultative, we need to actually know that. And that's just one example. So those of the kinds of things, which we would certainly be listing in detail, sort of the pros and cons, like we did in the first meeting.
Okay, we've had a suggestion, we have the recommendation or of the resolution in front of us. Would someone like to bring a resolution forward, please? Councillor Peak.
I'd like to express direction to staff to go to a public open house for consultation on the proposed zoning and bylaw.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Holmes. Yep. Any further discussion? Councillor Holmes.
Just one thing, I think in an open house rather than the traditional format with the boards, and I think a presentation, for this, a presentation would be better, a set time, and, you know, it probably help people understand it a bit better.
Yeah, and when Mr. McIntosh taught, I just didn't say anything at the time, but I agree that we need to have some discussion because it's actually the traditional model that we're trying to move away from a little bit, but we'll discuss it as a staff group and take that for sure under consideration.
So you're suggesting that by going to a sort of an open house or a public hearing?
Not a public hearing, it's not a public hearing.
Just an open house.
It's informational.
Yeah, it's informational. but we would-
Consultative.
Right, so we would be still providing the information that they would be looking at in terms of having to have some understanding in terms of what they may comment on, right?
Just that we do a formal presentation rather than a passive, just
Yeah,
passive
okay.
boards.
And
Yeah,
you can
'cause
do
I
it, you can do
agree.
it twice during the
I've been
time you
to-
have an open house. I
Yeah.
mean, you could do it at 4 o'clock and you could
So
do
you
it
do a
at
presentation.
6:30. Yeah.
Because I know, I understand what Councillor Peak's saying. I've been to lots of situations where there's boards out, and I'd much prefer a presentation that's given by staff. So, okay, we had a seconder, did we? Yeah, fine, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. And none opposed, of course. Okay. Moving on to councillor reports. Councillor Trainer.
I don't have too much to say tonight, but I just wanted to remind everyone that the Summerland Ornamental Gardens is having their 100th anniversary this Saturday and Sunday. It's from 10 until 5, and there's lots of activities going on, and all of the information is available on their website, and I will be volunteering there on Sunday. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Councillor Barkle.
I attended the graduation ceremonies with yourself and Councillor Holmes and Councillor Peak, and was really impressed with the quality of the graduates from this SSS. I think they've improved a lot since the day I
I'd say you're probably right.
And I note that the highest academic achiever in the whole school was the son of our director of planning.
Services.
Yeah, and I'm sure he would have done the same when we were in school if he hadn't been hanging out in the pool hall with me.
Oh.
And Councillor Holmes and I had a little tour of some of our water supply system. Maybe he can talk about that. And Canada Day was
Try.
good.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Booth.
Yeah, I don't have really too much to add. I volunteered at the Grand Fondo. I'm sorry, Linda, but I did not see you as you whizzed by, you know.
Too fast.
I was just paying attention to my duties, but it was pretty impressive. I really enjoyed that. One thing I just wanted to bring out, and I certainly will supply details later, but people have been asking me about a farm-to-table event that I am part of an organizing group. This has nothing to do with council. This is just kind of my passion for food, local sustainable food. It is very briefly, it's called Summerland Feast of Fields, and it was on September the 10th. It's being held at Dickinson Family Farm, so it's right there in the orchard. And it'll be open skies unless it's, not terrific weather, and then there will be tents over top, but open air. There will be incredible food. Brodo is our chef, and there will be professional servers. There will be live entertainment, and it is a fundraiser for the expansion of an existing community garden in Summerland. So,
Thank you.
that's that. Thank you.
Councillor Carlson.
Well, you've been working a lot. The only important thing is big thanks to the electrical folks for getting out on Saturday morning to fix Garnet Valley. That big storm knocked out the power, and within an hour or two they had all of our compressors and chillers and everything running again. And so it was quite nice to see everybody out there doing a really fast and efficient job. So it's great to have our own electrical utility because they know how to deal with things when they break down. Fantastic. And I think that's it. We're shipping a lot of cherries these days, so if anyone needs me, you can reach me by phone. But or come visit. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you. I might add that you kind of downplayed how important that is to you, because the amount of volume that you're dealing with right now is massive, and the quality of the fruit is really anything at all will deteriorate the fruit or the stems, which makes the marketability or the potential for claims at the other end pretty high. So I'm glad that they were able to respond and get you back up and running. So, Councillor Holmes.
I don't really have anything to report. I'll just say that my 17-year-old son got his driver's license today, so I should probably give warning to the motorists of Summerland.
Start walking.
He's going to love you.
Love your truck anyway.
Love your truck. Love my truck. Councillor Peak.
Yes. As we all did, I attended the Canada Day celebrations. I want to thank our senior levels of government for the money to be able to make that a wonderful celebration. And a thank you to the Legion for organizing the event. The day was a beautiful day, and we're all lucky to have such great neighbors to do a celebration with. As Councillor Holmes spoke about the Riga Festival, I also wanted to mention that for that festival, they will be doing workshops. So if any of you are interested in writing or acting, there's some great workshops, and I want the community to come out and be involved. So please have a look at that site. I know that we've all been invited to the Ornamental Gardens for 11 a.m. on the Saturday, and that's going to be a 100th anniversary of the Ornamental Gardens. So that's a great opportunity for the community to celebrate our heritage and commend the Friends of the Ornamental Gardens on the work that they're doing. I wanted to mention that the Sister City had a committee meeting, and we will be welcoming 9 students and 2 chaperones. They arrive on Wednesday, August 3rd, and they leave on August 8th. They have full itineraries for the students during the days that they are here. However, they are still looking for some homestays. The students are ages 13 and 14, so if you have your own home available, or you know of people that might have an opportunity, I know that Karen Jones would be able to put them in contact with the president of the Sister City. And the hope is that they could maybe go with a home that has children so that they could practice their English on the time that they would be at the home. I believe that there's availability. They have driving to and from the airport, but it's really that bit of support while they're here. So if anyone has an opportunity that knows of someone that could do homestays or themselves would be interested, that would be great. I think that's the... Oh, I was going to mention Councillor Boots' Feast of... What did it get called in the end? Feast of Fields?
Feast of Farms.
Feast of Farms.
Yes.
I think that's a wonderful celebration for the community, and I know I volunteered earlier on, but because I'll be traveling, I won't be here this year. Maybe next year I'll be able to give a hand in a more substantial manner.
First annual, so yes.
I commend the group.
Yes.
I think it's just a really great idea.
Thank you.
Thank you. Since we only have press here, any questions from the press? John, Susan? No? Nothing?
I think he's not press.
Pardon
No,
me?
we have Vicky.
Oh, I thought you were.
Vicky's
No, you're
chair.
not. Sorry. Looked like you might be press. Sorry. Blew it on that note of lack of control. Okay, motion for adjournment, please. Councillor Barco.
Oh.
Seconder, Councillor Boot. All in favor? Thank you. We're adjourned for the evening. Thank you.